Hi everybody, Miss Bennett here. Just having a little video to show you guys how to create a value scale, including shade and tint, so that you can color your sugar skulls accordingly. So depending on what you have in your classroom or in your own backpack, you are probably going to have some different types of media. And in art, media or medium means the supplies that we use to make the art. So today I'm going to show you how to use 4 different mediums or media to create value and create tint and shade. So shade is technically any color plus black. It's the darkest version of any color. Okay, and tint is the lightest version of any color. So tint would be any color plus white. So I'm going to show you a really simple way to show value change with tint and shade using all 4 of these materials. Okay, so we're going to start with colored pencil, which I already did, and I'm going to show you again. When you want to create shade, you're going to use pressure to create that shade. So what I'm going to do with the colored pencil, a nice sharp colored pencil, is I'm going to start drawing and pressing as hard as I can. Gradually, slowly easing up on my pressure, pressing lighter and 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 lighter until I'm barely pressing it all. Okay, so here we have our shade, darkest version of our color, and here we have our tint, lightest version of our color. So if I was to do that on my sugar skull, here's just a rough example, and I want to do that with the petal. I'm going to start at one side of the petal, press as hard as I can, slowly ease up on that pressure. The lightest part with the lightest pressure is going to be in the middle, and then we're going to add that pressure back in. Voila, we've created a value scale. We've got some tint, we've got some shade. We're adding a lot of dimension to our artwork. Okay, next I'm going to show you marker. So with marker, it's a little different. The lightest possible tint we can get with marker is just by 1 layer of application. So the more layers that you add with marker, the darker your color is going to become, and that's how you're going to achieve your shade. So first we're going to very controlled like create some stripes of color here. Okay. If you move swiftly, it helps. So down here is going to be our lightest value. To create our darkest value, we're going to add another layer. So we got 2 layers going now. We're going to stop that once we get over to our tint because we don't want any more layers. That's the lightest layer, or the lightest color possible. The tint is only possible with 1 layer of marker, okay? So in order to create a shade that's darker than your sort of medium value, we're going to go and we're going to layer again. It works best if you let the marker dry in between the layering. Okay, so we're going to let that dry for a second. Moving on to the crayon. If you've got a crayon, it's the same sort of thing as colored pencil. You're going to start with your shade and you're going to press as hard as you can with the crayon to get that shade, that darkest version of your color. Then you're going to slowly, gradually ease up on the pressure, ease up, ease up, ease up, until you're barely pressing it all. Okay, tint, shade. Tint, shade, both of these are a matter of pressure. This is a matter of layering. Okay, we've got 1 more. You probably don't have this in your room. If you really want to use this, come find me in the art room and I'll help you out. I do expect you to return my supplies though. So we're going to start with oil pastel and we're going to press pretty darn hard to create our shade. Again, slowly, gradually easing up on our pressure till we're barely pressing it all. Now this one's a little different, okay? You're gonna need your color and then you're gonna need a white oil pastel. So the white is going to be used to blend your pigment together and really help bring out that tint. Notice as I'm getting into the area where I applied more pressure, where I have more pigment, I'm using the white. I'm not having to press as hard to blend together because there's already pigment there, and the value is naturally darker. I'm gonna go over the top, add a little bit more color just to really emphasize that darkest shade. And the fun thing with oil pastel is we can blend it all together. Okay, oil pastels are meant to be used like this and blended with your fingers. Okay, might add a little more white down here to emphasize that tint, and we're blending her together. Okay, so then here I have my shade and tint. So back to the marker, that's pretty much dry. If it's not dry, you're gonna put a hole in your paper, so you gotta be careful with this process. We're gonna add one more layer to really emphasize that shade. Okay. So, when we're going to do our features on our sugar skull, with the marker, you might go down the petal in one layer, carefully, okay? Let that dry. Oil pastel, you're gonna sort of press hard around the petal and then lighter in the middle, okay? Add a little bit of white in the middle, then you're gonna get in there with your finger and blend that. Maybe add a little bit more. Petals are a great spot to create a change in value. Helps us show dimension, helps us show volume. Crayon, we're gonna press hard on the outside, ease up, lightest shade in the middle, or lightest version of the color, so the tint in the middle. Okay. We'll fill in that whole bugger just so you guys can kind of get a better look. Okay, back to our marker. Gonna add that second layer on the outside. We'll do it again. One layer carefully. One layer carefully, one layer carefully. Let it dry. Colored pencil, pressing hard, easing up. Lightest pressure, pressing a little harder, pressing the hardest. Okay, pressing hard, easing up, pressing as light as we can, adding pressure, pressing hardest. Okay, pressing hard, easing up, lightest pressure, pressing our hardest one more time. Okay, back to our marker, adding that next layer. I'll show you an example of what you would do like in the eyes. So, carefully applying one layer. Let that dry. With this, I'll show you. One more layer. Inside the nose. All right, thank you guys for watching and happy spooky season.